Per the university's policy, undergraduate students are expected to pay at least 70% of their school fees, while postgraduates are expected to pay at least 60% or will have their courses deferred automatically. An affected student, Zachary Slemba Jawal, who has paid 50% of the school fees, has received a message that he has been deferred. He describes this as very unfair, as he says the amount he has paid is what his parents have been able to raise so far.
It's really nervous that I have been deferred because of my school fees. It doesn't make sense, so I have to do the necessary things to get out of this. I think this thing is not necessary to defer someone because the person has not paid the fees. This is not really necessary.
Final year students are among those who have also received messages that they have been deferred. Gospel Gaffer tells City News final years who have received the messages are disturbed and are in a dilemma as to whether they should go ahead with their project works.
It's about time they reconsider that policy and then introduce measures that at least will help mitigate the payment of fees, especially for the final year students. Because personally, with my colleague, he was also deferred yesterday. The message came yesterday evening. We saw it around 5 and we were really disturbed. We were really working on our project, so we had to put this aside and then focus on what to do next, because it will be useless if you complete a project work and then you are not being allowed to graduate. It really doesn't make sense. So that was how we felt. We felt really frustrated yesterday. We believe every issue has a solution. This policy is very harsh. It's very harsh in the sense that you don't expect me from first year. I've been paying fees from first year to final year, and maybe choose some genuine reasons I couldn't pay my fees this sem or this year. It doesn't warrant that I defer my program, because it doesn't really make sense. Me, for instance, I've paid 50%. And so I think they should consider it and then do something. If possible, they should revert the policy. The policy, I believe if too much deliberations went into it, wouldn't happen here.
As many students have expressed worry over the decision, the management of KNUST tells City News that it has sufficient evidence that the students have been using their fees to engage in betting and other forms of misapplications. Dr. Daniel Norris Bequin is the University Relations Officer for KNUST.
We are talking about those who are not able to, or those who are likely to be deferred in the region of about let's say 8% of the total population of the student.
Which
is in the region of about a little over 6,000 students. But for now, we have over 92% of them who have done the required thing. We also know, and we have sufficient evidence, that majority of these students who are having these challenges are students who have decided to use their school fees for other things apart from paying for the school fees. We know some have Uber cars which they use for businesses, some are into bakery, some are into selling of phones and accessories, and they use the school fees. And so if you are using the school fees for that kind of purpose, and then others also go to do my bet, like betting, game betting and other things. So if you go and bet and the business goes bad, whose money is supposed to be used to run the university?
One of the affected students, Edward Redu, who has paid 60% of the school fees, corroborates the claims by Dr. Daniel Norris Bequin, as he says he used the rest of his school fees to venture into business.
I used the money for business. I took part of the fees and invested it into a business so that I will make profit. Then later on I will add up. I've made that profit and I have the capital there, but I just didn't know that they will send us message this early. I was focused writing the mid-sem, so today I went there with the money and they were like I should wait and make sure letter and come home, then I bring it. So tomorrow I'll add the letter and the money, then I'll go and pay everything.
According to Dr. Daniel Norris Bequin, persons who are deferred will have to pay full school fees next academic year, as the part payment they have made this year will not be valid. Some students, however, disclosed to KNUST that although they have paid more than the minimum amount, they also received messages that their courses have been deferred. But Dr. Daniel Norris Bekwin allays their fears. He says all students who have genuinely paid the required amount should visit the Dean of Students' office or the head of the department's office for the issue to be rectified. When contacted, the Students' Representative Council President, Michael Abua, indicated that his outfit is engaged in the management of the university on the way forward.
Clearly, the issue about deferring students based on their inability to pay a required amount of school fees is one that divides opinions, as students want the stakeholders to find a way of having a middle ground. For City News, I'm Edward Upon Malfo, KNUST, Kumasi.